Okay, so I'm starting with the baked lemon cheesecake with raspberry coulis. So I've blended my biscuits and my butter, and I'm very carefully spreading it all around here. This is to make the base, so it's important to have an even layer and not to have any holes. Okay, so it's nice and patted down, nice and even. So this is going to go into the fridge for about 15 minutes. And that's just going to firm up. Next, I will be making the filling for the cheesecake. Right, so now I'm going to do my filling for the cheesecake. I've got some Philadelphia cream cheese, some castor sugar and lemon zest. We'll be adding some lemon juice later on, but it's nice to have some lemon zest on it just to give it a bit more of a tangy taste. I'm using a microcline for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pulverizer this and mix this all together. You can use an electric blender, but I actually don't like the electric blender available to me. So I'm going to be using a pulverizer, but an electric blender works just as well, and I've used it before. So once we've mixed that, we're going to add in the lemon juice and some eggs, whole egg, and mix it all together. And my baby's getting excited. Okay, so the biscuit base is set, it's all firmed up, and we've got a nice smooth filling for the cheesecake. So what I'm doing is I'm just pouring that in, keeping it even. Okay, I don't really want to tip it too much, but hopefully you can see I've got the filling in the cheese in the base. I'm going to pop it into the oven. Oh, brilliant! There's loads of stuff in the oven. Okay, now that the oven's clear, I'm going to put the cheesecake into the oven. Okay, and that's set to about 160 degrees. It's going to cook for about an hour. So it starts to set, a bit wobbly in the middle. And in the meantime, I'm going to be working on the coulis, which is, I'll come to you. Hopefully you can use it. Alright, so we've just got some frozen raspberries, or defrosted raspberries, water, castor sugar and orange zest. And we're going to be just simmering that for about 10 minutes, so it's all ready to go with the cheesecake. Okay? Okay, so we're going to start making the jam for the Victoria sponge cake. So I've halved a bunch of strawberries, put them in the pan, so much sugar, 500 grams of sugar. There we go. And basically I'm just going to mash this up with a potato masher, just to break up all the strawberries. Once I've done that, I'm going to put it on the hob and keep an eye on it until it gets a nice syrupy consistency. So you can see straight away the strawberries starting to get all mashed up and mixed in with the sugar. Okay, so I'm just going to continue on with the mini Victoria sponge cakes. I have boiled down my strawberries and picked some cream. So the picked some cream gives this nice thick consistency. So I've left it a little bit chunky just because it's kind of nice to get those chunks in the jam. It feels a bit more authentic. So that's just going to cool down until we're ready to go. So it's good to use the picked some cream, the jam cream, because it helps. I'm just going to put that to the side so we're ready. Okay, so now I'm going to cream my butter and sugar. So I've got my butter at room temperature just so it's a bit more easier to work with. So that goes into my bowl. I'm going to use my so sorry my PowerPoint doesn't kind of get in the camera view. Basically I'm just going to whisk this up first with the electric whisk until it starts getting nice and creamy, and then slowly add the sugar to get it nice and fluffy, just so it makes the sponge cake more airy and more light. So I'll show you that when I'm finished. Okay, so I've whisked the egg and the sugar. I've creamed that, and then I've just added the egg yolk. My baby was jumping around while I was whisking, so it was quite a distraction. So now I'm just going to add in a tablespoon of vanilla essence. And I've pre-sifted my flour, and I'm just going to add that as well. Okay, so there we go. Flour and eggs. I'm just going to combine that with my wooden spoon.
Yeah, you could do if you stand close enough.
Until it's nice and creamy. Once I've done that, I'm going to put it into my greased mini tins and pop it in the oven.
You finished?
Okay, so I've just taken my sponge cakes out of the oven and I'll let them cool down. I'm just going to pop them out. There we go. And these will just sit and cool. Now, so I'll do those in a moment. Just while we're waiting for them to cool, I'm just going to fan some strawberries. So some other ones I was practicing on. Just going to chop off the heads, off the stems I should say, and just cut little strips into them. These are just going to decorate on the top. So then the strawberry fans out. I am also going to be whisking my cream. So I've got some double thick cream, my electric whisk. So I'm just going to, sorry again, I have to go off camera for this. We'll just beat it until it's nice and fluffy with some soft peas. Okay, see you when it's done. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off the Victoria sponge. I've got my now cooled down sponge cakes, so I'm just going to put them horizontally through the middle. Working my fingers and using a bread knife. Okay, done. So now we're going to do the layer of the cream. So here's my whipped cream that I was talking about before. So nice and fluffy, didn't go too long, don't want to turn it into butter. Okay, so I'm going to take some cream. Nice generous layer of cream. And on the other side as well. And then taking the jam, which is set nicely. blob. Or two. Maybe too generous. Okay. Alright, I'm going to layer those together. And then take my icing sugar. Sieve,
items.
and I'm just going to sprinkle that. So I'll probably do the rest over the plate before I'm ready to serve. Just for the camera.
Really nice.
My mum's commenting on the cakes. They look lovely.
Oh!
And then take the strawberry and there we go. Mini Victoria sponges. Alright, so moving on to the smoked salmon with homemade mayonnaise, and we're going to do some cos lettuce instead of the watercress, because watercress unfortunately now out of season. So I'm going to start off with the mayonnaise. So I've got my egg yolks and my mustard, and the little trick I learned was to put the tea towel underneath here. It comes, it helps get you a good angle when you're whisking. We're going to use a balloon whisk, and we're going to really slowly pour in the olive oil. Start off a couple of drips at a time. And the reason I do that is otherwise the egg yolk will split. Okay, so I'm just going to start whisking. I'm literally just putting a couple of drips. I'm going to be continuously whisking, and this probably goes on for about 3 minutes or so. It's a bit of a workout, but we should end up with a nice thick mayonnaise, which will then add the vinegar and the lime to. Really slowly pour the olive oil over the balloon whisk. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, cameraman. Okay, so we've got the base of the mayonnaise, so it's a lot thicker now. I'm going to add in a tiny bit of vinegar, a little bit at a time. It's white wine vinegar. And a tiny bit of lemon juice. I'm not measuring it because I want to see how the colour goes and to make sure that the acid from the vinegar and the lemon juice is an effect on the egg. But no, that looks fine. So that's going to be set aside and ready to be used in saline juice in a bit. Okay, so I'm going to be making the cucumber, mint and cream cheese pinwheel sandwiches. So I thought it was recording before it wasn't. So I mixed up the butter, cream cheese and chopped mint, and I've spread them over the rolled out pieces of bread. So we're going to start off with like that. So then I'm going to chop up my cucumber. Just kind of make sure it's roughly the same size as a sandwich. Just so it makes it easier when you're laying it down. So we're going to do some juliennes of the cucumbers. And so when we lay it down, we want to have the cucumber placed in basically the same direction as you're going to roll enough to cover it. Cover with another piece of bread. Give it a little squish. I'm going to chop off the crusts. So chopping off the crust just makes it a bit more neater when we actually do the rolling. Okay. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and squished down and roll it gently towards me in the direction that I laid the cucumber. So if it might start to spill out, it's fine. So you can kind of see the roll taking place, and then I'm going to pop that in my cling film, and we're going to put that in the fridge for about 2 hours. Okay, so now for the white down, I have this smoked salmon. Unfortunately, when I went to check this recipe a week ago, there was plenty of watercress and stock, and now it's out of season. So it's going to be smoked salmon, cos lettuce, and homemade mayonnaise sandwiches. Okay, so we have the mayonnaise that we made earlier, we have the rolled bread, and I'm just going to scoop a small amount into each sandwich, spread it out, just like a cream cheese sandwich. It's good to be pretty generous, so at least it helps it stick. And then I'm going to take some cos lettuce. So not too much of this because it will just spill out. Okay. And my smoked salmon. Okay. So again, place it in roughly the same direction. I couldn't go out of the shot. That's what you're going to peel, what you're going to roll, sorry. Right on top. So it's basically just like making a normal sandwich, but it's flat at the bread and it will look more attractive at the end. So again, just remove the crusts, disregard and leave this bit for the filling, and again roll it towards yourself. So it'll probably spill. Just tuck that in. Oopsie daisy. Got a bit generous with the filling on this one. And again, glad wrap. And we'll place in the fridge for a couple of hours. So I'll just keep on doing that with all of my mixture for both sandwiches, and they'll be all ready. Alright, so I'm going to be doing the pastry for the quiche, the short crust pastry. So I've basically got some butter in here, so it's been slightly melted just to make it easier, and some flour. I'm going to rub it all with my fingers until it resembles like a biscuit crumb, and I'll be slowly adding in water to make the dough. Okay, so all the pastry has been rubbed together, so I'm just going to bind it to make the dough. I'm going to put it in the fridge in a glad wrap. So we don't want to work it too much because then it will just become stiff. Oops. I'm just going to pop it onto the cloud wrap, and we're going to let that rest for about 30 minutes in the fridge. Alright, so we've got day 2. I'm finishing off the quiche, so I'm just rolling out the last of my short crust pastry. Okay. I'm using a cutter.
Hi, Sally, did you just ring? Oh, yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah. And
putting them into this muffin tray. So this will be
It's an action machine.
the pastry for the quiche.
Oh, perhaps I thought I had another voice and I thought, oh gosh, maybe I'm not writing the right number.
Gets really excited when she's on the phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of them,
Are you off today?
but for the camera's sake, I'm going to blind bake them. So I'm going to get some rice, and I'm just going to pop some rice, a tablespoon each, into the tray, and then that'll go into the oven for about 10 minutes until golden. So I'm going to do it with all of these, and the rice will help form the shape, so it'll all be ready to go for the filling.
She said she's got red bats in her hands.
Okay, so we've blind baked the pastries. So now we've got a nice little round centre for the filling. So here's some I prepared earlier. So just for the camera's sake, I'm just going to fill in one. So I'm going to take a scoop, trying to get as much of the leek and pumpkin as possible. And I'm just going to place some of that on top. And try not to overfill it, because they are very small. We need to get enough of the egg and milk mixture, because that's really what makes the quiche. And then on top, a little cherry tomato, give a bit of colour, and then I'll do the same for the rest of them. Put them in the oven, and fingers crossed all will be well. Okay, so I've got my pastry in the oven. While I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to do the filling for the quiche. So we're taking 2 eggs, just crack them into the bowl. Add the milk. Season to taste. So just pepper and salt. And we're just going to give that a nice whisk. Combine everything. Okay, easy. Alright, so just some grated cheese, and yesterday I sauteed the leek, but the film didn't work, so kept the nice green colour. Just going to pop that in as well. And I also chopped up the pumpkins and roasted them too, so they've got a nice orange. So that all goes in there. And we just combine that. So this will basically just be set aside until the quiches are ready, and we will be able to pop it in. excuse me, wash my hands. Alright, so while I'm waiting for the pastry, I'm going to have a look at the pinball sandwiches that I made yesterday and put them up, and hopefully they look nice. Okay, so I have got my cucumber, cream cheese and mint. I've also got my salmon, cod lettuce and homemade mayonnaise. You need a bread knife and cut off this thin bit at the end just so it's not wasted, and you can see the pinwheel forming. So we're doing these at 1 centimetre chops, and these will be nice little finger sandwiches, so you can definitely see the colour starting to come out there with the salmon. So I'm just going to do the same for the cucumber one. That's got a really nice spiral forming. So we're just disregarding the ends, just because we want it to be nice and attractive. So I'm going to do that for all of them and lay them out, and then that's the pinwheel sandwiches done. Okay, so I'm going to be doing the raspberry peach and lemon iced tea. So I've already boiled some water with 8 tea bags. I'm now going to zest in a whole lemon. Once I've done this, I'm going to put it back onto boil for another few minutes. I'm going to be able to add the rest of the ingredients and let it sit to cool until the water is served. So using the microplane here on the fine side, just to get a nice fine braid and zest will easily dissolve into the liquid. Turn you up now. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off doing my raspberry peach and lemon iced tea. My lovely assistant is going to pour this tea into the jug, because I'm getting a bit weak, it's going to be late at night and I don't want to just burn myself. The lovely assistant, can you just do that for me please? Please don't burn yourself either. Alright. Jug's probably a little bit too small, so I might just pour some of that back, purely just because I still need to add some more ingredients. Okay, let's just top it up. Alright, thank you, lovely assistant. Alright, so I'm just going to add the sliced lemon in, get them like reasonably thin slices. Make sure I got rid of the seeds. I'm going to need a bit of a squeeze, just encouraging the juices to come out. So I'm putting it straight into the jug, just so it starts to cool down a lot quicker than if it was just in the saucepan. And also it's just ready to go. Just like sangria. Unfortunately it's not. Okay. Now, I couldn't get fresh peaches because, again, I went to buy them last week and they were in season and now they're not. So, unfortunately, got tinned peaches. But, sorry, I'm just gonna. I've still got tinned peaches. Alright, 30 seconds. But none of that tea is going to go to waste. It can all be reused with extra fruit they have left over. Alright, so we're going to pop some peaches in here. Okay. And then some fresh raspberries. The recipe says about a cup, but just because of the way the jug is, I'm just going to improvise and push down, carry it into the sink. So that's got that lovely floaty look. And then I'm going to give the mint a good rough chop. Doesn't have to be too fine. You drink it through a straw. You don't want it all to just disappear off the straw. Just a nice rough chop. Okay, I'm just putting what I need.
The 16-year-old girl is in a stable condition in Concord Hospital.
And a few whole ones, just so it looks a bit more attractive.
A 19-year-old man allegedly found drug-affected at the midnight
Down.
was also treated in hospital.
And you just serve this with ice when it's ready. So obviously wait for it to cool down. And while it does it in the fridge, get a nice infused flavour. And there we go. Done. Okay, so now I'm going to do the raspberry coulis for the cheesecake. So I've just blended the mixture that's been cooled down. So that's the raspberry, sugar, and water and orange zest. And I pour it into the sieve just to get rid of all the little seeds that are left behind. So with a spoon, just give it a big stir. Basically just keep on stirring and it all comes out lovely at the bottom. So once you're ready to eat the cheesecake, I will pour the coulis over the top and decorate it with the nice fresh raspberries. Just give it a little bit of a smash so you can kind of see all the seeds being left behind.
Yeah, so similar.
Alright, this looks good. And then we are left with a nice seed-free runny coulis. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off making the cheesecake. So it's turned out quite well. Nice structured base. Took the plates off the bottom. So I've got the raspberry coulis that I made last night. So try and be a bit Jamie Oliver, do it from a height. I'm just going to dribble that on top. I'll leave some aside, so if anyone wants any more on their individual pieces, they can help themselves. Okay. So let it flow a bit, and then take some nice raspberries and decorate all around the edges. Let's give it some colour. And then we are done with the cheesecake. So have a look at the photos and you'll see the finished product.